Okay. Are you often your harshest critic when it comes to your eating habits and self image? Have you ever felt like you don't have enough time for self compassion? Yes. Welcome to Your Hunger Satisfied, where we discover what you are truly hungry for and learn to satisfy those deepest cravings so you can end emotional eating once and for all. Hi, I'm Peggy Dunn. I'm your host. I'm a licensed professional mental health therapist, a certified life coach, and a functional medicine health coach. I call myself a wellness mindset coach. I would love it if you would take just a moment and let me know where and when you are watching this. I would really appreciate that. Today, we're going to discuss self compassion. Looking back over my own journey, I'm still amazed at how difficult this topic was for me to implement. Self compassion means you are kind and understanding to yourself when confronted with personal failings instead of merciless judging and criticizing yourself for various inadequacies or shortcomings. I have many clients tell me that I don't have time for self compassion. This tells me they have misconceptions around self compassion. So, the first thing we're going to do today is to clarify what is self compassion and what it is not. To fully understand self compassion, it's critical to dispel some of these misconceptions. Self compassion, as I mentioned before, self compassion means you are kind and understanding when confronted with personal failings instead of merciless judging and criticizing yourself for various inadequacies or shortcomings. So, self compassion is not a justification for self indulgence. It's not about allowing yourself to give in to impulsive and unhealthy food choices as a way to comfort yourself when faced with emotional turmoil. It's not about letting yourself off the hook. What it is about is caring for yourself in a manner that fosters your overall well being. Self compassion encourages you to acknowledge your emotional struggles and respond with kindness and understanding. It involves finding healthier ways to cope with your emotions, such as seeking support from friends, practicing mindfulness, addressing the root cause of emotional eating. Self compassion helps you make choices that generally promote your well being, both physically, mentally, and emotionally, rather than simply giving in to momentary desires, using food as a quick fix for emotional distress. It's about taking care of yourself in a manner that aligns with your long term health and happiness. Self compassion is not selfish. It doesn't mean you prioritize your needs over other people's needs at all times. It's about finding a balance that allows you to be there for yourself as well as for others. This is one of the biggest misconceptions that I see in my business. Self compassion isn't about wallowing in self pity, it's recognizing your suffering and responding with kindness and support, just as you would with for a friend. So now that we've kind of gone over some of the more common misconceptions, let's turn our attention to the three key components of self compassion. And then we'll dive into a few practical steps you can take to start fostering self compassion, a self compassionate mindset. Having compassion for yourself means you honor and accept your humanness. Things will not always go the way you want them to. You will encounter frustrations, losses will occur, you will make mistakes, bump up against limitations, fall short of your ideals. This is called being human. And as I always say, welcome to being human. That's a reality shared by all of us. The more you open your heart to this reality instead of constantly fighting against it, the more you will be able to feel compassion for yourself and all your fellow human beings in the experience, in this adventure we call life. The first way we can experience self compassion is being kind to ourselves rather than judging ourselves. No self judgment. Self compassion involves extending warmth and understanding to ourselves when we grapple with emotional eating, rather than neglecting our emotional pain or berating ourselves with self criticism. Now, I was always amazed how, when I grew up, thinking I'm the only one who suffers, I'm the only one who makes mistakes, falling short of whatever I wanted to achieve. It was only when I became compassionate to myself and opened myself up to others that I realized I'm not the only one. I'm a part of the human race too. What can I say? Everyone experiences imperfection, failures, and challenges. These are all a natural part of being human. So I began approaching myself, my situations, all those imperfections, failures, challenges, with compassion, rather than reacting with anger when life didn't align with my expectations. It's important to accept that we can't always attain or have everything we desire. Rejecting and fighting this reality only exasperates our suffering, which then manifests itself as stress, frustration, criticism, self criticism. But when this reality of being human is accepted with sympathy and kindness, greater emotional pose is experienced. Acceptance simply means that you make a conscious decision to not to fight the fact that something is real, or to judge yourself, or to beat yourself up that life isn't fair, that this shouldn't be happening to me. Rather than getting trapped in the web of negative emotions, self defeating beliefs, and futile struggles, I decided to simply accept it as my reality. I had no idea how powerful this tool of acceptance was, although I admit, as the journey goes, along with acceptance comes responsibility, which we will cover in another time. So, the second component of self compassion is realizing we all have commonality with all human beings. This does because if we don't, it leads to the feeling of isolation. Emotional eating is triggered by feelings of frustration of not having things go the way we wish, or of feeling like we're the only ones who feel this way. We're the only ones who experience these frustrations. These frustrations can lead to an irrational, persistent feeling of isolation, as if we alone are the only ones who suffer, the only ones who make mistakes. It's essential to recognize that all human beings, of which I am a part of, go through moments of suffering, personal inadequacy. In emotional eating, it's vital to understand that these struggles are a part of our shared human experience. It affects us all, rather than isolated occurrences that pertain only to ourselves. This is one of the most powerful reasons support. This is why support groups can be so powerful. Now, the third component involves finding a balanced approach to dealing with negative emotions that can trigger such behavior. It means not suppressing those emotions and not allowing them to completely take you over. This balance is achieved by recognizing that emotional eating is a shared human experience, recognizing that our struggles are not unique to only us. So now, how do we cultivate self-compassion? I'm going to give you some strategies to start nurturing self-compassion, even when you feel like you have limited time and energy. First one is take short moments of mindfulness. Incorporate mindfulness exercises into your day. A few deep breaths, a moment of stillness can help you connect with the present moment. Mindfulness is a valuable tool when it comes to emotional eating. It means being non-judgmental. It means being receptive to those thoughts and feelings, acknowledging them as they arise, without trying to ignore or suppress them. Excuse me. This allows you to become aware of the emotional triggers behind your urge to eat, which is a crucial step to managing emotional eating. So many successful women believe that taking time for themselves is selfish. They also believe that taking time for themselves means finding at least an hour for themselves, several hours. I used to believe this. When I realized that I found myself getting stressed out, overwhelmed, or anxious, I could take a 5-minute break, listen to one or two songs. Yes. Or I could take a moment and step out into the sunshine, smell the flowers. Or if it's winter, I'd take a diffuser and smell some aroma scents. This is showing compassion to myself. It doesn't have to be all afternoon or even a full hour. Just switching gears was frequently enough. Now, keep in mind, it's also equally important not to become over-identified with these emotions, which means you shouldn't let them control you, completely control your actions. By observing your emotions mindfully, you can make more conscious choices about how you want to respond to them, rather than being swept away by the impulsive, unhealthy eating habits, habitual unhealthy eating habits. So another one is self-compassionate self-talk. It begins with heightened awareness of your internal dialogue. It's about recognizing and reshaping the way you speak to yourself. First, pay close attention to your thoughts. Identify those instances of self-criticism, self-doubt, negative self-judgment. Once you've pinpointed those critical thoughts, start reframing them with kindness and understanding. So instead of berating yourself for your mistakes, it involves responding with self-compassion, offering words of comfort, encouragement, support. It's rooted in treating yourself with the level of kindness you would to a close friend. I frequently have a counseling session with myself. Self-compassion, self-talk is transformative. It challenges those unfair self-judgment. It fosters a more positive mindset. And it shifts your internal dialogue from being a source of self-criticism to one of self-compassion and self-support. By incorporating this practice into your daily life, you build self-esteem, improve your mental and emotional well-being. You nurture a more positive and compassionate relationship with yourself. Another strategy is setting realistic boundaries. Maintaining a balanced life. It revolves around the recognition of your limitations and understanding that you, like everybody else, possess finite time, energy, resources. Acknowledging your humanity and coming to terms with your limitations. It's essential to realize that you can't be everywhere, do everything, or constantly please everyone. Such an understanding isn't a sign of weakness, but rather a realistic assessment of what you can reasonably manage. Being willing to say no when necessary is a key component of setting realistic boundaries. It entails recognizing when additional commitments or requests would exceed your capacity and compromise your well-being. It means having the courage to decline additional responsibility, social engagements, or tasks when taking them on would come at a cost of your self-care and your mental health. Prioritizing self-care is another aspect. Self-care encompasses those activities that recharge you, that alleviate stress, contribute to a harmonious life. Prioritizing self-care means taking time for those activities that nurture both your body and your mind, such as engaging in regular exercise, practicing mindfulness, meditation, hobbies, things you enjoy, just simply taking the time to relax. It is critical for maintaining your overall health. Now, within prioritizing self-care, one of those crucial elements of setting boundaries is engaging in guilt-free self-care. It's common for people to feel guilty when they prioritize their own needs over the demands and expectations of others. However, it's vital to remember that by taking care of yourself, you become better equipped to support others effectively and fulfill your responsibilities. This guilt-free approach to self-care is a critical aspect to maintaining your overall well-being and fostering a more balanced and fulfilling life. In other words, self-care is showing yourself self-compassion. Self-care involves those specific activities and practices that directly enhance your physical and emotional health. Self-compassion, on the other hand, is the way you speak to yourself, the mindset you cultivate. Self-compassion can be thought of as the guiding philosophy behind the self-care actions. It helps you approach self-care with an attitude of kindness and non-judgment. So those are just a few strategies to engage in self-compassion. Remember, self-compassion doesn't have to be a time-consuming endeavor. It can be integrated into your daily life, ultimately helping you find peace with food and freedom from overeating. It's a journey, and every small step counts. So, until next time, make it a joyful week. See you then.